taught in the Quran for big and small. A way of life, a way of life, a way of life, a way of life. Islam is a way of life, a complete way.
Welcome to this episode of
Tell Us About Islam.
I'm your host, Yusuf Estes, and with me today we have Zia. How old are you, Zia?
11.
11 years old. And we have with us
Fatima.
Fatima is how old?
9.
9. And
Aisha.
Aisha with 2 A's.
9.
9 years old. And over here we have
Ismail.
Ismail is how old?
9 years.
9 years old. Hassan, how old are you?
11.
11 years old. And Ratab, how old are you?
I'm 8 years old.
8 years old. MashaAllah. Now, all of our students here have been studying Islam where?
Islamic International School.
The Islamic International School. What we want to do with our program is allow everybody to ask questions and find answers about Islam. And how we'll do that, we're going to have some questions I will ask you and some questions you will ask me, and we'll see what Islam really says about those issues, questions, and concerns that people have. I want to begin today by telling you about a story that comes from Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One day, a man showed up in front of the Muslims. They didn't know who he was, but he had no signs of travel on him at all. His clothes were exceedingly white, no dirt on him at all. And his hair was exceedingly black, no dust, nothing on that. So they figured, how did this guy get here? Who is this guy? And he went right up to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he knelt down right in front of him. And he put his knees to his knees, put his hands on his thighs, he looked him in the eye, and he said to him, what is Islam? Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said, Islam is the Shahada, the Salah, the Zakah, Saum Ramadan, and the Hajj. He said, that's right. And then he asked him some more questions. Now the people were watching this and they went, huh? Who is this man that comes in and asks a question like that and then he just says, you're right? So they want to see what he's going to say next. Before we go any further with the questions, I want to find out what were those words that I said in Arabic. The first word that I said was something in Arabic, Shahada. The second word was Salah, Zakah, Saum, Hajj. If you don't know Arabic, you don't know what it means. So let's start with what is the Shahada. And the Shahada means to do what? Bear witness there's none to worship except who?
Allah.
And?
Muhammad is his messenger.
And Muhammad is his messenger. And this is a Shahada. But the Shahada, it has conditions. It means you can't just say it and it's going to work for you. It means you have to have at least 7 conditions. And what are they? Do you know? Well, one of them, it is knowledge. Another one is certainty. Another one is sincerity. Along with that, you also have to have truthfulness in it. You have to be honest and truthful in it. You have to have love and devotion for the Shahada. And then there is submission to Allah and to accept what the Shahada means and live it. So a person has to really live their Shahada. In addition to that, they also have to die on the Shahada. Just because you said it, but then maybe you change your mind or you didn't live up to it, whatever, you just dropped the whole thing and die without it, well then that's not the Shahada anymore. So Shahada is something very big, and you shouldn't say it unless you mean it. And when you mean it, then you live it. And the Shahada, I bear witness, there's no God to worship except Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. By saying that, that is the first step, or the first pillar of Islam. Now, what was the second one after the Shahada?
Salah.
Salah. What is Salah? Zia, what is Salah?
Salat is 5 prayer.
You pray for 5 days, or do you pray 5 times a day?
5 times a day.
Okay, so it's 5 times a day, huh? And we pray different, don't we? Than just like some people go like this. Many people pray like this or like this, right? But when we say about our 5 daily salah, what are we talking about? What do we have to do?
We have to go in ruku and then in sujood.
We have ruku, and bending over, sujood. We have standing up. Yeah, we have standing up. We have a lot of things that we do in our prayer, including reciting the Quran. A lot of stuff like that. Is that right?
Yes.
What do we do before we make the prayer?
Make wudu.
We make wudu?
Yes.
Yeah, with water and wash up and everything like that.
Yes.
And at the end of the prayer, there's something we say when we finish the prayer. Who knows what that is?
Pray dua. Dua.
Dua? Yep. We make dua, pray. So all of this is a part of this 5 times a day, right? So what was the next thing after the salah?
Zakah. Zakah.
Zakah is what? What does that mean?
Growth and purity.
It means purity, you're right. But it means, when we talk about purity in Islam with the zakah of what? Purification of wealth. So your money needs to be purified. And every year you purify your money by giving a small part of it to who?
Poor. The needy.
The poor people. You don't have to go and give it to a rich person. You don't have to give it to the imam. You have to give it to the poor people, right? Right. Let's see, what did we have after that? The Saum. What is Saum?
To fast in Ramadan.
Fasting Ramadan? It's fasting?
Yeah.
How do we fast Ramadan? What?
From dawn to dusk, not to eat anything.
From dawn, from the time in the morning when the sun starts to come up, till the sun goes down, dusk, then we don't
We don't
do
eat
what?
and we don't drink.
Don't eat, don't drink. What else?
We don't not to fight language.
Shouldn't fight. That's good.
Avoid sinful acts.
And avoid sinful acts. We should anyway, shouldn't we? All the time. But even more special in Ramadan. What if somebody comes and starts arguing with you and you're fasting? They're arguing, they're giving you a hard time. Oh, no. What should...
You should say, I'm fasting.
I'm fasting. Yep, exactly right. And then after that, what do we have?
Hajj.
Hajj. What is Hajj?
To go to pilgrimage.
Pilgrimage. To go to Kaaba? Where's the Kaaba?
In Makkah.
Mecca, exactly. And Mecca's in Saudi Arabia, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a lot of things about that in Islam. All of those things that we've been talking about are the very first part of what the angel asked Muhammad. He said, what is Islam? And he told him. So if a person doesn't have that, they don't have Islam. Then the next thing the angel asked him about, what is Iman? What is Iman? And Prophet Muhammad said, Iman is, and he gave 6 things. He said, Iman is to believe in Allah, to believe in what?
His books.
Angels were next, I think, right?
Yes.
Angels, then his books, and then the messengers,
Last day.
the last day,
Faith.
fate, predestination. And when we talk about Iman, Iman is to say and do, not just to talk, but to really do or act on your belief. The belief in Islam is that we really do believe in Allah and everything that goes with the message, and we try our best to put it in our life every day.
Yes.
And that makes you a good Muslim. Some people want to know, though, what about those other things? What is it that you guys believe about Allah? We believe Allah is one, the only creator, the only sustainer, the only one to pray to, the only one to turn to when you need anything. Allah is the one who created everything, but He's close to you in His knowledge. Because He knows everything you're doing all the time. Close to you in His hearing. He hears everything you say. Close to you in His seeing. He He sees everything all the time. Not only does he see like we see, which is small, he sees in all the directions, up, down, and all the way to the smallest atoms. He sees everything, because he's Allah. But now some people will ask about Iman. They want to know, sometimes my Iman feels good and strong. I was praying today, I was at the masjid today, I heard a good speech today. My Iman is, but some days, maybe some bad things happen, but all of a sudden, now my Iman, it just doesn't feel strong. So the question that people want to know is,
Can Iman go up and down?
Can your Iman go up and down? Actually, it can. And there are some things that can cause it to go up really high and some things to make it go down really low. Reciting the Quran is always a nice thing to do to increase the faith or Iman. Remembering Allah in the things that you do and being around people who also remember Allah really will help you. What are some of the things that will make the Iman go down? Well, bad deeds. Lying, cheating, stealing, watching television all day long, all of those things, listening to music all day long, those things, you're not thinking about Allah, thinking about yourself instead of thinking about Allah. Thinking about, I want money, 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 those things, and the Iman will go down as soon as a person is doing that. But how we can get the balance is by obeying Allah in all the things that we do and do as many good deeds as we can. And realize that your Iman will go up and it will go down. So when it's down, don't get upset. Relax and find a way to get back to Allah through His Quran, through Salah, fasting, doing the things that Allah likes, even some extra good deeds. Now we're going to take a break and we'll be back with more Tell Us About Islam.
Is a way of life.
We're back with more Tell Us About Islam, and we've been talking about a hadith, a story where the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was visited by a strange person. Remind me now, what was the first thing in Iman? To believe in?
Allah.
Allah. To believe in God, and He wants us to believe in Him. Not us make it up, but the way He tells us. In other words, somebody could say, I believe in God, and I want God to be a tree. Oh, no, that doesn't work. Or if he said, I believe in God, I want God to be a fish. No. Allah is Allah. We don't know what He looks like, don't know how is Allah. We just know about His ways. We don't need to look at Him. We need to know about Him from His, what we call names and His attributes, right? So this is one of the things. We would say that Allah is the only creator. He controls the whole universe. And everything in the universe, it needs Allah. But does Allah need anything?
No.
Does Allah need to eat?
No.
Does Allah need to sleep?
No.
Does Allah need to rest?
No.
Does Allah need to go and fix things?
No.
No. He doesn't have any need. Everything with Allah is always perfect. Now, the next thing after that was the angels. What about the angels? The angels. What do we know about angels?
They are made up of light.
They're made out of light, that's true. And do the angels do what they want to do?
No. What Allah?
They have to do what Allah wants them to do. Could the angels say, I don't want to do that today?
No.
If Allah said do it, do they do it right away?
Yes.
No hesitation. They don't go, now hold on a second. Let's talk about this. No, they do it, right?
Yes.
Next one was books. The books of Allah. What books is this talking about? Library books? Encyclopedias? Dictionary? Magazines? Comics?
No. Quran.
What books though? I said books. Kutub. Kutub is books, not one. Kitab is one.
Torah. Torah. Injil.
Torah.
Injil.
Injil. Zabur. Oh, we don't want to forget the Zabur and Quran. The Torah is what some people today call the Old Testament. This is actually the books of Moses that they refer to, the Torah. Another one is called Zabur. Zabur in English is Psalms or songs. They call it Songs of David, but it's actually Zabur, special type of poetry, I think, that comes from Allah. And then after that we have
Injil.
Injil. Injil means good news, gospel. They call it gospel in the English language, the good news. And then after that, Quran means?
Recite.
Exactly. It means what's being recited, recitation. That's the word Quran itself, recitation. So what about Rasul? That's the next one, the messengers, right? So what is a messenger? Is it like somebody comes up on the door, knock the door and go, hey, got a message for you?
No.
It doesn't work for Western Union, right? No. It works for Allah. And Allah has been sending these messengers ever since the beginning of human beings. There's more than 124,000 messengers of Allah that came to the people. More than that, and that's what Muhammad ﷺ said. But only a few we know their names. Just a few we know their names.
55.
But the most important thing about it is to know what the message was.
Yes.
And all the messengers were sent with the same message. The message from Allah. And what is that message?
La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah. But what does it mean in English? How do we understand it?
There is no God but Allah.
No God but Allah. To worship only Allah. And He's the only God. That makes sense. Now the next thing about these messengers, we know that all of them were human beings like you and I. They made some mistakes, but they didn't make big mistakes. They didn't make what's called masiyah, real bad things. But they were humans. They only knew what Allah let them know. Now the next one is the Day of Judgment. In Arabic, that's Yawm Hisab. It means the day you have to account for whatever you did, to be judged. Or it's also called the resurrection, and in Arabic, that's called Yawm Qiyamah. To stand up is called Qiyam. Yawm Qiyamah is the day of standing, because everybody will be brought back and they'll be standing. So that's the day of resurrection. And we believe in that is real. A real day, be brought back alive in your body and be standing. And then what? Who remembers what the last one was?
Faith.
Fate, predestination, predestiny, kismet, and fate. These are all pretty much how people understand that. But what do we believe about that? Do you know what it means? It means to believe that everything that happens is all in the plan of Allah. The good and the bad is all in the plan of Allah. Everything that happens, Allah knows about it before it happens, and there's nothing we can do about it, except what we try to do that's good or try to do that's bad. And then it's up to Allah to judge. So that's what we believe about that. So then what happened next is that this man who had come to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he now asked him another question. He asked him, what is ihsan? Ihsan. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said, ihsan is to worship Allah as though you were looking at Him, although you can't, but always keep in your mind that He's looking at you. It means to always think about Allah and remember that He is really as close in His seeing of you as your own sight. Don't forget, Allah is watching you. This is the meaning. Then the man asked the Prophet Muhammad, when is the hour? When is the hour? What does that mean? He wants to know, when is the last day? When is the very end of everything? Prophet Muhammad said, the one being asked, means me, and the one asking, that means you, we don't know. See, only Allah knows. He's saying the one being asked and the one asking, We don't know. But the signs, and then he gave us the signs, 2 signs. Do you know what they are? He said the signs are when a slave gives birth to her own master. Slaves giving birth to their own masters? What is that? And when you see the poor Arabs of the desert competing against each other to see who can build the tallest building. He said that 1,400 years ago. 1,400 years ago, he told us about the poor Arabs. All of a sudden, they're going to be doing what? Competing. Who can build the tallest building? The tallest of the buildings. Amazing? Today, if you go to Kuwait or Dubai in UAE, if you go to Qatar, if you go to Bahrain, if you go to Saudi Arabia, all of these Arab countries are building tall buildings. Huge, tall buildings, very tall. And they're competing to see who can build the tallest. But what about slaves giving birth to their own masters? Does that make sense? I mean, if a woman gives birth, how in the world will her baby become her master? Well, today we see that. Because today, sometimes the children are telling the parents what to do. This happens in my country. It happens in the West a lot. And the parents are not allowed to spank the children. They're not allowed to touch the children. They can't even shout at the children. They just have to say, "Oh, please be nice. Please be nice." And the children watch TV and see a lot of violence, a lot of bad things. And they look at this, and they have a lot of this in them all day long, you know, because the parents aren't there. So when the parents come home, the parents feel guilty. Oh, I'm not with my children. I should do something for them. So they bring them treats. They bring them candy. They bring them sodas. They bring them chocolates. They bring them so many different things. New toys, new computers. They're buying stuff for them. So when the parents finally come home and they see their parents for a few minutes, the parents are giving them things like this, giving. And so the children, they see their parents act like this, so they tell them, "I want more of this, I want this, do that, do this." And the parents, they feel like, "Yeah, I didn't spend much time with him, I really need to do that. So on the weekend, I'll take him out to the park and have fun." So when he takes him to the park on the weekend, then the parent is getting phone calls, "Oh, I have to go. Will you take care of my children in the park today? Because I have to go here, I have to go." Okay. And now they feel more guilty and more guilty. And so the children now are telling the parents, "You did this, you did that, why you do so and so?" "Oh, I'm sorry. Just like what? Slaves to their masters. And we see it today in all the western part of the world. Even in some parts of your world, you see this. Children telling parents what to do. But it's not in Islam, is it? In fact, how you treat your parents, Allah will give you children like that. And on the Day of Judgment, whoever mistreat their parents, Allah will not even look at them. That's how really serious it is. And then on top of that, when you do these things, you don't feel good about it at all, do you? You don't feel good. Now, that's the end of the story, because then the man got up, and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was talking to some people. He turned to Omar, he said, "Omar, go bring that man back to me, that strange man. Go back and get him." Omar went out and looked, he came back, he said, "He's gone, I can't find him." Prophet Muhammad said, "That was the angel Gabriel. He came to teach you your religion." So that's how we understand that. We've run out of time. That's the end of this episode of Tell Us About Islam. But until next time, from all of us to all of you, peace. Salam alaikum.
Do you know what Islam is?